Ben.
Ricardo.
Episode 2.
Here we go.
Can I just say, we've just spent about 25 minutes just trying to do an ident and an advert for the podcast, isn't it? What happened? Episode 1, we were clean, weren't we? We were straight in. It was no problem. It took 2 minutes, and that's...
We were like the podcast in Westlife. We were flying without wings, but I don't know what's happened.
We're flying without something, definitely.
You mentioned episode 1 there, Rich. We recorded that a few weeks ago. Since then, well done, mate. 5 years sober. Do you feel good?
Yeah, I do feel really good. It's weird. I find my sobriety birthday now more important than my actual birthday. And it's so nice. Of course, I put it up on the Instagram, and there's a lot of people saying, well done, congratulations. And then I look back over the last 5 years, and I think to myself, there's been a lot of stuff that's happened in that 5 years, and a lot of really good stuff, which wouldn't have happened if I'd still been drinking and I'd still been partying and stuff. So I'm really pleased. I feel proud of myself. I struggled early doors, actually, because sort of a few weeks in, 6 months in, a year in even, and people going, oh, you should be really proud. You should be, and I kind of think, should I be proud that I wasn't messing up my life anymore? How much praise should I get for that? Do you know what I mean? But 5 years and it's gone. It goes quickly. And I'm more than happy with that milestone. I've got my little key ring, my little chip.
Oh, that's so great. I think you should be so proud. And I think it's great to celebrate it because it's a huge life change. And does it blow your mind, like the changes you've made in your life since making that decision, Rich?
It really does. It really does. I mean, considering, I know if anyone's listening to this and they may still be drinking and thinking, 5 years, God, with me, I couldn't get a day. I couldn't get a day without having a drink or, using or partying. It was a real struggle for me. So just to get that, I mean, even now I still keep it in the day. I'm on a 24-hour reprieve. It's one day at a time, as we say. I don't look too far into the future, because there were times where people are like, "Oh, I've got my brother's wedding, or I've got or Christmas in the way," and you're like, "Well, that's not for 6 months. Don't worry about that now. Just worry about today." So that's how I have to live my life, even 5 years on. That is still how I live my life. Just one day at a time, 24-hour reprieve. Just for today. I'm alcohol free. I'm going to drink.
Well, I think that's brilliant. And, if we had room in the studio, I'd get the marching band in. Big Rich and Ben, the podcast fanfare. I think it's fantastic. And you say it goes quickly. I've just passed 1,000 days alcohol free.
I was going to say massive congratulations for that.
Thank you. And it is bonkers when I think, like you said, I couldn't if I'm being really honest, I couldn't go a day without a beer, maybe 2 Fosters post work.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy. I look back and, likewise, I'm so proud. And the running theme, of course, like waking up, one of our taglines on the pod.
Yeah.
Clear heads. That feeling.
Yeah.
Woo-ha!
Yeah.
It's just massive. The best, isn't it?
Yeah. Because you kind of, you find a way to operate which you think is successfully whilst you're still drinking. And you don't realize how much better, how much more clarity, and how much more productive you are when you stop all that. You wake up, and instead of taking half a day to just wake up and answer the phone, if you've got something to do on that day, you wake up and it's immediately. I know you're a big fan of getting out in the fresh air, aren't you?
Yeah.
Which I'm sure you probably did whilst you were drinking, but that walk would be nowhere near as enjoyable as it is.
You know why I would do that walk when I was drinking? It was to convince myself that I realistically didn't have a problem.
Yeah.
And then come 5, 6 o'clock, I could justify having a beer because I'd be like, I've done my walk. Yeah. Hey, my life's in control. It was so not in control. It's crazy.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. So tell me, 1,000 days.
Yeah.
1,000 days. And how are you measuring that? Are you, for anyone listening, I went through the 12-step program. You're using apps. The measurement of time through a specific sober app. How is that what you're doing Is that on a daily basis? Are you measuring that? Are you putting information in, or are you just counting in your head? How does
Yeah,
that work for you
literally. I
now?
joined an app. There's loads out there.
Mm,
I think mine is the I'm Sober app,
Yep.
if I'm right.
Yep.
Yeah, you put in your sobriety start date. Mine was 23rd of April,
Yep.
2023. This is the nuts thing, right? I had to really think then about the date because I actually really don't think about it that often, which is a beautiful place to be in, considering how much I did rely on alcohol to kind of just cope with life.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then I'll forget about it. And then, you know, I was just after Christmas, I was looking, it was like, oh my God, I'm approaching 1,000 days.
Yeah.
And it's like, this is unreal. So it's great to see, it's great to follow, but I don't have to look at it every day. And weirdly now, even 1,000 days in, you know, I'm nowhere near 5 years like you, Rich. I'm not thinking about my sobriety or being alcohol free. And I feel very lucky, but and we're going to get into this during season one. It isn't easy. It takes a lot of hard work to get to that stage. Would you agree?
I do agree. I think the first thing to do is being able to recognize and admit to yourself that you may need to make some changes. I think that is key. Because if you're living in that sort of constant state of, oh, I'm fine, I'm in denial, I think it's important to actually be able to recognize that and realize through maybe seeing other people that have got sober or other people that might be seeking help. And I think probably it'd be fair to say, as men in particular, we're quite proud. We're a proud species, aren't we? And so we don't want to really admit that there may be something that we're powerless against, you know. And definitely for me, I was totally powerless. I couldn't see the wood for the trees. For many years, I didn't know what the problem was, you know. And it wasn't until things got really dark that I was able to admit, okay, I have a problem with dependency on certain things, you know. And once I decided enough's enough, in the early days, for the first week or two, it was kind of like, great, this new lease of life. And because you almost become addicted to that. And then as the time goes on, you go through that self-reflective period and go, you start thinking about all the mistakes you've made, thinking about all the problems that you've caused. And then, you know, connectivity is so important, talking to other people. It's testament to you because although, yes, other people help you, and that's massive. Unity, connectivity, being able to talk to people, being able to open up. But the bottom line is to get to 1,000 days, it's you that has done that. You know, you should be proud of yourself for doing that. And then, and I encourage anyone that is considering a life of sobriety or curious about what that might be like, you will, without question, be so proud of yourself, and it'll be the biggest thing that you will ever achieve in your life. And what comes after that, life changes in such a positive way. And you can tell our listeners and viewers from experience, I can do that same thing.
Yeah.
You feel enlightened in many ways. And you're like, I wouldn't, like we spoke on episode 1, we wouldn't be doing this
completely
had we still been drinking. We may have come up with an idea for another podcast. Mate, it wouldn't have got off that. We might have had a couple of conversations, swapped a few WhatsApp messages.
And then died a death.
Yeah.
You say you feel enlightened, but I also think physically and mentally, you feel light.
Yeah.
Feel lighter.
Mm.
And I spent so many years beating myself up through these stages of like the wake-up calls that we're going to chat about, the denial, like how can I tackle something that I know is a problem? And ultimately, it becomes absolutely exhausting.
Yeah.
You know, we have careers in the creative world on stage. We need to be physically up there. You know, we're on show. We're there to entertain people. And that's draining anyway. But when daily you're constantly struggling against the embarrassment also, almost of the position that you've got yourself in through excess alcohol or drugs, and it's draining and it can eat away at you. Yeah. And so it's quite hard actually to shift that feeling of like, okay, I've done something about that, of which of course I'm hugely proud, but almost there's still a little grain of like, do I deserve to feel this happy? And when I really think about it, I remember I used to like give myself a pat on the back if I didn't have a drink, you know, Monday and a Tuesday before a pint on a Wednesday.
Yeah.
And here I am, 1,000 days, you know, I'm feeling good. I'm, growing my hair out a little bit.
I want to talk. We'll get to that. I do want to talk about it because it looks like you're getting wispy around the back here, and that's the first stages of middle-aged mullet.
I think that's the stage of midlife crisis as well. No, you know what? Rita, my wife, she was like, "Oh, let's grow your hair out a little bit," and I do like it, but in my head, I'm like the Abercrombie and Fitch, the flow they call it, and I'm looking on the Tickus Tockus and the Instagrammicus of all these nice flow hairstyles. Yeah. But I think the reality is, until it grows out a bit, I'm a very pasty Barry Gibb.
I was going to be kinder than that, and I was going to say
mate.
I was going to say it's given me vibes of Patrick Swayze Point Break. So a little segment we have every week on the podcast is we have a picture frame on the coffee table here, and we have someone in that frame who is an inspiration to us. Ben, who have we got today?
So to kick us off on episode 2, I read his book during Panto, actually. Absolutely fantastic. Admired him as an actor for many, many years.
Yeah.
It's Anthony Hopkins.
Yes, Tony.
Towards the end of 2025, he celebrated 50 years sobriety.
It's massive, isn't it?
Wow. Not only a huge talent, but going through his book, what really resonated with me was just the peace and calmness he has in his life. That making that decision, an awful wake-up call. He suffered a blackout. He blacked out and woke up at the wheel of his car in LA. That was his wake-up call after many years of denying it. And it was like, wow. But to see how his life has blossomed, how his happiness has blossomed, and is now, in his probably realistically coming towards the later years of his life and career, but just that calmness. And I think I get a little whiff of that every day when I'm sat with my morning coffee.
Yeah.
And it's joyous. Yes, he's an actor, but we all want that calmness and that true happiness. And he made a decision 50 years ago to do that. It's a great read. And, it's a funny link, like during Panto.
Yeah.
I play the dame and I wear all these wigs. I took my wig off one day and I have my hair was flat and stuck to my head. And the woman playing the Wicked Queen, she was like, "Oh, you look like Hannibal Lecter." I was like, "Oh, cheers." So not only do I look a bit like him as Hannibal Lecter, but I really admire him, and it's a great read. And so got a happy-looking Anthony Hopkins in the frame this week. Do you like the frame, by the way?
Mate, it's a wonderful frame.
My best GCSE woodwork.
It's wonderful. You made that, did you? You made the frame. See, that's something you wouldn't have been able to do had you still been drinking. You wouldn't have get yourself into a CDR class. And
I made the frame via the range, so thank you, the range. But his calmness and his happiness, I'm like, that's what I want. That's what I continue to strive for.
It's true. And also, he's... Also on YouTube, you can find this. So in the 12-step program, when you go to sort of recovery meetings, invariably there's someone that does what they call a chair. So someone sits there for sort of 20 minutes, half an hour, and they tell their story, and then you can share back in the circle about sort of your similarities perhaps from your life to theirs. Now, obviously, you're not looking for similarities to an Oscar winner, but what you're looking for is similarities between his drinking career and the things he experienced, and you liken them to your life, and you go, it doesn't matter what walk of life we're from, whether we are Anthony Hopkins, whether we're working in an office, whether we're working on a building site, whether we're jobbing actors like we are, you will always find something in someone's chair that you can relate to. It's a great listen. It's just audio because obviously, it's Alcoholics Anonymous. But I think because he has a profile, he let that be published. So, and he talks about it. And what is so refreshing, as you said, it's the calmness and the clarity that he speaks with. And he's just very gentle. And it's really inspiring to listen to. So that is who's in the frame today. What was it that made you feel this isn't serving me anymore? I need to do something about how I'm living my life.
Rich, I'm not joking. I was so sick and tired of feeling knackered, feeling dull, feeling grey, feeling lethargic, knowing before things got bonkers the potential I had to give the world. that I could offer work, that I could offer society, that I could offer people I bumped into on a day-to-day basis, that I could offer family and friends. And I could just feel myself slipping away from that. There were so many wake-up calls on tour, like touring for 25, 30 years, that I just ignored.
Yep.
That I thought, hang on, I've survived this.
Yep.
It's not a problem. I'll just brush it to one side. Ridiculous. But as I mentioned in episode 1, Rich, having to stop for 4 weeks because of my hair transplant, because the alcohol thins the blood, that's what I needed. That was the catalyst. I needed to see you flourish when you started your sobriety journey, to see how well you were looking, how you were conquering life, your career. And I just wanted that. I was exhausted. At the same time, I knew that my relationship could hit problems if I continued to drink every night, which I was realistically being a bit incy, a bit provocative, and I had a fearfulness of this, of waking up one morning and saying something that would have hurt Rita or upset her, and that fear married with a mental and physical draining that I was sick of. That was it. And even a huge period before that was COVID. I remember waking up drinking so much. I was working on the checkout 18 at Tesco, which I loved, that interaction. That was me. What wasn't me was waking up one morning before a shift, still so pissed.
Yeah.
I took a selfie of myself. I didn't have the hair then, but I was looking like half bald. My eyes were glassy. It was like I was working for is it Anglican Windows? It's like you Brand's new double glazing patio doors right above my big schnozcumber. And I was like, I just look awful. I feel awful. I feel tired. And that night on the checkout, literally, I had to concentrate so hard in just scanning an item of produce. Literally, I was like, what have I become? What have I become that I can't even do that? So that again, but we say wake up calls, denial. That was another denial. Felt a bit better after 2 or 3 days. Oh, it's fine. But no, it was an ongoing feeling of drinking excessively most nights and just having no energy, no spark, like the spark I used to have that I'm slowly getting back now. It just dissipated, it just gone. And the main thing as well, like having to deal with was embarrassment. I didn't want my family to know. I didn't want even Rita to know that deep down I knew for us to be okay and for us to flourish and for me to flourish as a middle-aged guy, I had to say cheerio to the booze.
Yeah.
But my goodness. And then, as that I want to enthuse about to our listeners, to our viewers, that feeling of getting your sleep back, the clarity, the energy, and you think bit by bit, day by day, this is doable. But my goodness, over the years on tour, I remember going out on a Friday in Manchester. It was, I can't remember what show it was, but we were playing the Manchester Opera House, so 2,500, 3,000 seater Saturday matinee. I was out the night before. Oh yeah, Life and Soul. On the gin and tonics, on the old Jeff and Tina's. Thought I'll be fine. I've got through a hungover matinee before. Rich, I spent an hour before the show walking up and down the corridor backstage, running through my lines of a part I played for 2-3 years, shitting myself.
Yeah.
Office hangovers, awful, but on stage, everything is amplified. The makeup, the wigs, the lights, 3,000 people in front of you. And sure enough, I just blanked on stage.
Really?
Never been so scared. And I remember between shows taking myself to McDonald's, what a healthy response.
Yeah.
My God.
Yes.
Yeah, anxiety fueled by excess booze. I'll have a Big Mac and some nuggets. Son. Yeah. It's ridiculous. And then coming up to that same part in the show, in the evening show, just literally having to concentrate so hard just to walk, just to not fall over. The nerves, the anxiety, but how crazy. 4 or 5 days later, I'd vowed, right, I'm not drinking, that's it.
Yeah.
I knew it wasn't good. I knew it wasn't healthy, putting essentially my job at risk. Not good at all. But then, of course, 4 or 5 days, I think we were in Norwich the week afterwards, I've survived that. Oh, it was just a blip.
Yeah, phew.
I'll have a pint Foster's and some scampi fries, please.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. So it was a period, I would say, of mild, pebble-esque rock bottoms, that grew and grew and grew, that I'd stuffed away, that I'd put away because I was surviving. I was sick of just surviving, Rich.
But you knew.
Sick of it.
You knew, would it be fair to say you knew in yourself that there was a problem and a pattern emerging here that you needed to address?
Yeah.
But what is nice about hearing you tell that story that you just did for me is that I think accountability and honesty whilst you're living alcohol-free and in sobriety that's enormous. And it's so, as much as it's horrible to hear that you went through that, it's nice to hear you being honest about where you were at, because that's the first step, isn't it? Like being able to go, I'm powerless over this. I need some help. Because I would see you, we'd speak on the phone, and really, until we started this journey, and now we're on the journey together, I would never have known that you were struggling like that. And that hurts me in my heart. That hurts me to know that you were going through that and you were living it in your own brain and you couldn't speak to anyone. You felt, shame or anxious about it.
Rich, likewise, I didn't know. All those nights we're on the cruise ship, post-show, necking the red.
Yeah.
Necking beers, thinking, oh, he's just like me. He's a good laugh,
Yeah.
great at what he does, great performer, and loves to wind down afterwards, with some beers. And likewise, that's a killer. And there must be people listening who work in all sorts of life, all facets of life, who have got somebody within that environment, within that space, who are struggling. But again, I think it is a male thing, where the shame of having to say to my family, woe betide if I'd got kicked off a cruise ship, because they're strict on there with like alcohol levels and
they take the breathalyzer and everything. Yeah.
Woe betide if I'd got. How do I explain that to people? So it's just, you're driven by this addiction, but also this huge fear of being found out.
Yeah.
And when you let that go, as I'm sure you found, Rich, it's bliss. And it's bliss just to be able to say sorry to somebody when you are in the wrong, instead of like the male bravado of trying to cover it up.
I'm fine. No, it wasn't my fault.
Just saying sorry and you move on.
Yeah.
And all angst in life just goes, oh, we're allowed to be calm as blokes. I wish you told me as well, because I would have helped you too.
Yes,
but how nice that we're helping each other now, and that's great. And I want to know from you, what was it for you, Rich? Like, was it like a progression for you that you thought, I can cope with life, I can cope with my career and relationships? Or did you know for a while as well?
I would say that, and I think I briefly touched on this in episode 1 when we were giving ourselves an overview of the series. I think I've always struggled with addiction issues. I think I'm predisposed to that. And I find that once you find sort of drugs and alcohol, that accelerates a rate of knots, because you don't have to live in your own brain, which is ironic, isn't it? Because that's where you want to live. You want clarity.
Yeah.
I think that for about 20, 25 years, I struggled with it. For the first 15, I was young, I was partying, everyone does it. And then obviously when we got to COVID and the sort of the 10 years leading up to that, I was struggling massively with just being me in my own head. It was an awful place to exist. I made some terrible mistakes. And catastrophic relationships, friendships, all that kind of stuff, family dynamic, that really suffered. I mean, I don't think, because I was away on as we just said, on tour and like working in London and stuff, and my family were all, Oxfordshire based, where we all live now. And I wouldn't see them from like one month to the next sometimes. And I was really struggling within my own head, trying to figure out who I actually was. You know what I mean? I didn't know that I was an addict. I didn't know that I had deep-rooted dependency issues. That's codependency with friends and relationships as well. But I knew when I got to the point where I know I needed to get sober, I knew that there was some massive problems that I hadn't addressed. And it's progressive, isn't it?
Yeah.
If you don't address it, it just gets worse and worse and worse. And like you just said, 4 or 5 days passes and you're like, oh, I feel all right now. And you start again. But you don't start again from 25 years ago. You pick up from the point that you left off. And if where the point you left off was really bad, you start off really bad and then you get worse.
It just escalates, doesn't it? It's like the building blocks of depression. And, you know, I remember the times where I was really low and I'd literally be like, oh, fuck it, I'm going to the pub on a Tuesday lunchtime. And as if that's going to help.
I know. Yeah.
You know.
But I think it's so ingrained, especially in British culture. British. Why did I say it like that?
That's
It's
for
British,
our
in
US listeners.
in British
I like
culture.
it.
Yeah,
I like
geez,
it.
I keep going with that. In British culture, we drink to celebrate. We drink to commiserate. You know, we drink birthdays. We drink Christmases. And it's so socially acceptable drinking, isn't it? It's the one thing
everywhere.
Yeah, it's the one thing that people say to you. Like, if you are, you know, if you're a heroin addict or if you like marijuana, whatever that might be, you're not outwardly doing that. And if you're not doing it, people going, why aren't you taking heroin today? They don't ask that, do they? But if you go out and you meet a friend or you're in a social environment and you're not drinking, people say to you, oh, what's wrong with you? Why aren't you drinking? Well, for me, it's a poison. I'm allergic to it. It destroys me, and it very nearly destroyed my life. So I think, you know, once I was able to, I got into the program, I got a sponsor, and we'll talk a little bit about that maybe in future episodes, what that means getting into the program if you need that route and getting a sponsor.
Yeah, I'd love to hear that.
I think that would be a worthwhile episode to cover for sure. And I went through the 12 steps, and during those 12 steps, it really helped me understand myself and my behaviors and the reasons why I react in certain ways. And I think for me, that was enormous in my early sobriety to start understanding why. Because it's like anything. It's like, you know, we talk about us not being great at tech, and you know, you're not at the computer and like, well, I'm pressing that and it's not working, and it says press return control or whatever, and it's not working. You know, for many years I was, you know, pressing return control and it wasn't working for me. And it wasn't until someone said, oh, just press this, do that, go to that screensaver, and you're there. Ah, great. And it was the same for me in early sobriety.
It's the root, isn't it? Finding the root.
Finding the root.
And how did that feel, Rich, when you did find the root of you? And was that hard to accept and kind of and share with like your nearest and dearest?
Yes, I guess it was initially, because essentially you have to admit that you've been defeated by something. I've been defeated by my lifestyle, my addiction issues, and I have to kind of strip it all back and start again. You know, I was at my rock bottom. I had nothing. I wasn't in a relationship. I'd lost my house. I'd lost my job. But that was sort of circumstance of COVID and stuff as well. But obviously, as we know, people lost their jobs, and I was self-employed. There was no like consistent furlough for us. It was a couple of payments, and you know, so I was living in London at the time, and I'd sort of pressed the fuck it button completely. I thought, well, I've literally lost everything. I fell out with my family, which was horrendous, and we didn't speak for a whole year, because I was in denial for this, and I needed that time to sort of restart my life, without having to explain myself too much at that point. Because I'd made massive errors with my family. I'd been very obnoxious, very rude, as I had done to many people in my life. And luckily, the people that meant something to me eventually would accept me back into their lives and understand and be proud of the journey that I was on. But it does take a lot of effort to keep the continuity of how you're living now. Do you know what I mean? Like, okay, this is how I'm going to live my life. But people have, you know, probably for 10 years, I went to a few meetings here and there, and I kind of thought, but I was always doing it for someone else. I wasn't doing it for me.
That's so nuts. I remember after a particularly heavy night in Bristol, just to appease an ex-girlfriend of mine, I went to an AA meeting. And what a fraud. There are all these people there opening up, being so honest about their alcoholism, you know, wanting to become sober, really wanting it for themselves and their loved ones. And I was sat there like an absolute dick, like a fraud, thinking, I'll go to the pub tomorrow. Just tick this box, make sure she's happy, make sure she's known that I've gone. And I remember a few days later, Rich, in Bristol, this is going back, God, 25 years? So 25 years it's been flying around my life.
Yeah.
God, what a waste of time. Anyway,
Yeah.
seeing a guy from the meeting in the street, and I was with a friend and just blanked him because I thought I can't let my friend know that
Right.
I know this guy from the one AA meeting that I went to as a fraud. And
Yeah,
looking
yeah.
back, like, that's shameful, my God. But Rich, you should be even more proud of your 5-year sobriety, because unless you're in that moment of feeling so low, so unsure of your future, that you just go back to what is causing you all the
Yeah.
angst. It's so tough, isn't it? It's just so hard to be in that predicament. And through going to AA and following the 12 steps, you've chipped away, and look at you.
Thanks, mate.
It's nuts, because I remember that feeling literally of not
Yeah.
wanting to get out of bed, not wanting to speak to my family. And to combat that, I'd go and drink more alcohol.
Yeah.
And our core is a happy soul, isn't it?
Yeah.
And we want to make people happy. And when you're like that, it's no life, is it? And
No, it isn't.
so honestly, mate, huge respect.
And to you, and I appreciate it. Thank you. But what you were saying about going to the meetings and then drinking again, or even, I mean, there was times I'd be drinking, using, and go to a meeting whilst being
Really?
drunk or high. Absolutely. Because I wasn't ready at
Yeah.
that time. And there may be people listening like now that it's not uncommon to go to a meeting and then keep drinking or using whatever your persuasion or whatever your addiction, whatever you are dependent on. It's not unique. And I will say to people listening, don't feel that you're alone in that and you're different to everybody else, because you might think, oh, I'm different. Like, they've got it. They're listening and they've got sober, or they're not drinking. And what's wrong with me? Sometimes it takes a while. It takes a while. People go out. I see people now, they come to meetings, but then they go back out into what we call the madness again. And then they come back maybe a week later, 6 months later. What the program will do will always welcome you back with open arms. There is always someone there to offer you a biscuit, custard cream, and give you a cuddle and sit down and be with you. We can help, like, we can suggest things. Listen, we've said it before, we're not medical practitioners. We haven't got it all worked out. We're not going to tell you what to do. Far beyond us to do that, but what we can do is suggest to people what we did, and we're talking about it today.
Yeah.
But what we did in those early days when we felt we had a problem, and we can kind of push you in the right direction.
100%.
We can give you, the baton, and you can take it and you can do what you want with it. And
also we're proving, aren't we, that, there's a life beyond it. And what a beautiful life full of real, honest, wonderful moments, relations and experiences.
It's so true. And you might be...
whatever you do.
Exactly. I mean, you might be going into the office today. You might be listening to this on the bus, or, in the car or whatever. And you might be thinking, I don't know how I'm going to get through the day today. I'm hungover. Or you might have been, taking any kind of substances. You might have been up all night. It's Monday morning. You've got to go into the office and you've got to face people and you've got to look people in the eye. And it is, on the inside, it's catastrophic. You are dying inside.
Yeah.
But you're not alone. I just want to say that to anyone listening or watching, you're not alone. There is help available to you, and we've been there. We know what that's like. And I know what that's like, I'm sure you do, when you're going into work and you're thinking, I feel so ashamed of myself. I feel so disgusting, and I feel so alone. And it can be a very miserable place to exist in.
I had, on the ship, Rich, it was, gone for it after a show. I think on a Sunday we docked in Barcelona. What a beautiful city.
Yeah.
There's me literally lying in the park all Sunday. Because I was so hungover and I had a show that evening.
Really?
What a waste of a day. What a waste of a beautiful city. And going into work, getting on stage that night took all of my concentration and efforts. But I was just so embarrassed. Like, how again had I got myself into that state? And
did anyone know?
No.
Are you living it on your own?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, I call it acid blood, acid head, where everything is tingling.
Yeah.
And you just want your head to explode. And it's that self-shame, that self-embarrassment. But the signs were there, Rich, time and time again. And I've just finished Panto, third sober Panto.
Yeah.
I bloody love it.
Yeah.
Creative. But just the energy, the life energy, the boundaries are in place. to enjoy it. But maybe I did need all those close calls, all those moments of denial to get to the point now where I'm like, I've done it. It was, was it good fun? Sometimes. On the whole, it caused me heartache,
Mm,
depression, anxiety through the roof.
yeah.
But now, through saying cheerio, making that decision as you have, just
Mm,
don't I don't have to have that in my life. And
yeah.
what a lovely choice.
Well, it's being ready, isn't it?
Yeah.
You weren't ready, and when you were, you addressed it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I see people now that are very young, like people in the mid-20s coming in, getting sober and stuff. And I'm like,
Yeah.
wow, that's quite a step. Like, you're young. And then I think, actually, no, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
You've got
Yeah.
you can have such a productive life if you stay and you
Yeah.
stay healthy and you keep your sobriety.
Increasingly, there's more and more knowledge to say, if you are struggling, if
Yeah.
you're tired of just being grey and lethargic,
Mm.
and you think deep down, I might need to address this, there's so much support there. And,
There is.
and how much, you've been in the program now for a while, Rich. How much does it still help you? Do you get more from helping others, or do you still need it as like the anchor to your life?
Yes. They one of the mantras is don't be a recovery thief. So the
Yeah.
way that you continue to help yourself is by paying it forward, helping other
Yeah.
people. And it's amazing when someone, like, I still, have people phoning me, just numbers that I don't recognize, because when, we share numbers around, especially because, like you said about there being so many different avenues now, you've got physical meetings face to face, like we're doing now.
Yeah.
You've also got Zoom meetings. There's such a plethora of meetings that you can find on Zoom. So if you can't leave the house, or you're working from home, or you can still get on a meeting, share your number in the sort of the chat facility there. And then you're encouraged to just phone people.
Yeah.
Phone people, and you just, in my early days, I'd phone someone up, be like, oh, hi, I'm Rich. I got your number from the meeting, and this is a bit of a strange conversation to have. And that, without fail, everyone's like, oh, hey, mate, how you doing? How you feeling? How are you today? And you feel like you've got someone there.
Yeah.
to
That
help you.
support,
Yeah.
that buoyancy.
Yeah. And so that means that because that was given to me in my early sobriety, I will then give that back. And I host a recovery meeting on a Sunday morning. If you want the details for that, anyone listening, DM us, and I can give you those details for sure. But you do really get a real buzz from helping other people, because you know personally where you were, and you know where you are now and how you
Yeah.
feel, and you see people come in, and they might have drunk the day before, they might have drunk before the meeting,
Yeah.
but I can help you, I can show you how. And I know it can be quite daunting. Now, I remember I would go in my early sobriety, and I see people with 5 years sobriety, and I'd be like, well, that's not me. Am I ever going to get to that? But as I said before, one day at a time, you can, if you
Yeah.
commit to it. So I do. I love helping people. I love making suggestions. I don't tell people what to do.
Mm.
I go, well, look, this is what I did. Maybe try this, because, we're not trained professionals. We're not therapists.
Well, this is what I love about the pod, Rich. Like, we are just two middle-aged blokes proving that, life can get better,
It can.
and step at a time and a day at a time. And there's so much out there, and hopefully people get that we're not bullshitters. Like,
No,
we generally
we used to be.
Yeah. Oh yeah, of course.
Oh my God, I used to bullshit everyone. I really did.
But now
yeah.
it's, we're there, and we're doing it, and proving that there's a great and exciting way forward.
I love having a project. Like, my bread and butter, as I said, we're jobbing actors. I'm on the Tina Turner musical tour at the moment. Come see us. I like to have other projects as well. I like to be busy, and I was never busy. I wasted so many years in active addiction, just pissing my time away, doing nothing, looking like hell. And now I'm like, a Sunday morning, I'll get up. Now, because I'm on tour, I'll always drive home, because I want to be with my wife. I want to be with the gem. Hey, Gem,
you're a good lad. You're a good sausage.
But I'll drive, depending on where we are in the country.
Yeah.
It could take me 2 hours, 3 hours to drive home. I arrive home maybe 2 a.m., 3 a.m., and then I get to bed. It's like you've been driving, and you're kind of focused, and so it takes a while to fall asleep. And I'll be up at 8 o'clock in the morning to start my meeting at 9. But when you said about helping other people, sometimes when I wake up at 8 o'clock in the morning, I'm like, I'm so tired. I just want to go back to sleep. But I know that people got up to help me in my early sobriety. And in my head, I try to think to myself, I'm not trying to be a hero. I'm not trying to be a martyr. But there's people that have been, whilst I've been driving home last night, out on it, feeling horrendous, feeling shame, drinking, using on their own, where I was at one time. And I'm driving home at 3 a.m. And I remember that used to be the time when I'd just be getting started. Right. Who am I calling? Let's get someone round. Let's get, let's get the beers.
Really?
I'd be
God.
getting started at 3 a.m. And now I'm driving home going, I'm clean, I'm sober. I'm just tired for being tired.
Yeah.
I'm getting into bed and I'm waking up and I'm going to host my recovery meeting
Yeah.
in the morning, because there may be, even if it's one person that hears something from me in that meeting that goes, that's the catalyst I need. Okay, I see something in what that guy said.
Yeah.
And I'm going to either give him a call, message him, come back to this meeting and start my journey. So, I mean, if you are struggling, if you are feeling you need to address some issues, my advice, I'm not telling you what to do, but my advice would be talk to someone about it. Just, if you can, find the strength to admit to someone, I think I've got a problem and I might need some help. And there are so many resources. Or if you're just curious about a life sobriety, or you're feeling like maybe I don't feel like I'm an alcoholic, or I don't feel that I'm an addict, but maybe this isn't serving me. There are other options and there are other avenues that you can discover.
Yeah. I'm so proud to be alcohol free and made that decision.
And I'm proud of you for that. It doesn't get said enough. We do say it to each other, but
Thank you.
It is important to recognize, and I'm sure you've had other people say to you how proud they are, as will anyone listening. People will see it in you and they'll be proud of you, and that gives you a bigger lift.
They do see it in me. They see the sparks back, the effervescence, and you're feeling good and happy.
Yeah.
And I deserve to be, everyone deserves to be happy. And what I'm really proud of as well, like I followed your journey and I thought, God, I want to be like it. Now I'm getting a few more and more people, from different facets of my life that I've worked with over the years, even family, just tends to be like, how did you do it? Like, do you feel good? Do you feel better? And increasingly I'll get an odd message off somebody saying, oh, I'm 6 weeks alcohol free, like I'm feeling good. And it's like, wow. And I love supporting people who are beginning to get the same glow. You say you were just getting revved up at 3 o'clock. What I don't miss is my dehydrated 3 o'clock old man pisses, waking up with the fear, just still a bit pissed, starting to think about work the next morning or the show the next day. Don't miss that. And it's there. It is doable, either through the AA, your route, or through me using an app and realizing, no, it's not serving me anymore.
And you're such a positive person. And I sent you a message the other day and it was just a voice note, and it was just to say, hi mate, happy Saturday. I hope you have a wonderful day, because you always do that. You, out of nowhere, there'll just be a voice note going, hey mate, just to say, have a wonderful day. Love to you and the wife. You're doing so well. Be proud of yourself. And and that lifts people up.
You know what, Rich? All of that stems from a few years ago, just feeling so sad, so low, so isolated from my family, friends, just isolated from life, that when I would get a little message like that, it's like, just gives you a little prod of like a little chink in the darkness. And so it takes 2 seconds just to send somebody a little message, and I love it. And then you might get a little message back. And even if I haven't, then it's like, you know what? It's like, it's okay. I've just reached out to somebody and makes me feel good.
Yeah,
and
it's nice. It's a lovely quality.
Just little steps like that. But usually it's either in my bad Michael Caine, isn't it? Or Brucey or...
So we've talked about early sobriety, and I guess the message we're trying to carry today is, listen, reach out. Reach out to us. Reach out to a friend that you can trust. Reach out to someone you may have, that may have got sober or be alcohol free. Just talk to people. Reach out, and there's no pressure. There's no if someone phones me and says, I want to get sober, I don't go, brilliant, that's amazing, do this, do that. I go, listen, I'm proud of you. Keep going. I'm here if you need me, if you want some suggestions. And that is basically the message that we're trying to carry today.
And we're just two middle-aged guys, doing all right. And I'm proud of us,
we're loving
man.
it. And we've got this podcast because we got sober and we got productive. You know? So one little thing just before we go then, Ben. So obviously we don't drink alcohol anymore. but we obviously still have to drink to survive.
Yes.
Right?
No,
So-
hang on. I haven't drunk any liquid for 1,000 days.
You were telling me
I look like
you kept
Skeletor.
You kept telling me on the train on the way down. You're like, I've had about 8 pisses on the
I
way down. I
know.
said, well, that's not drinking. I think that's just
Yeah.
I think that's just our middle age now, isn't it?
Oh,
But so what? We have this little feature on the pod every week. Drink of the week. I will say this is the first time we're doing it, and we were going to do it at the beginning of the podcast because it's a hot drink and it's been sitting there for the last 40 minutes.
Listen, we've been chatting. It's all good.
I think it's going to be cold, but so
What have you bought?
today we've got
Your first up.
Oh my God! I think I must be the only person that takes their glasses off to read things closer. So this is
I've got
by
mine here, hang on.
Delgetty, and it's a ginseng.
Delgetty?
Yeah, that's the brand.
Didn't he play
it's a
left back for AC Milan?
probably, and it's a ginseng and ginger. So
Shall I give it a
so
try?
we'll give it a little try and we'll see what it's like. Yeah,
Here we go.
right.
You going first?
It's freezing cold.
Is it?
Yeah, it should be hot, but it's cold. It's actually not bad.
It's all right, isn't it?
It's not bad cold.
Did you say ginger? Is there some
It's
ginger in there?
ginseng and
Oh,
ginger,
ginseng.
which are great, good sort of recovery and healing properties and health benefits. You put it in some hot water, and it's a nice sort of refreshing
Yeah.
drink, an alternative to alcohol, or also an alternative to tea and coffee.
I love my coffee and a good old cup of tea, but
Yeah.
something a bit different as well.
Mate, it's been a great episode. It's great,
Oh,
great
love
chatting
it.
to you about early sobriety. We hope that anyone listening out there may have taken something from the things
Yeah,
we've said. Get in touch, as we said.
I've loved today, and hopefully you guys have too.
The new episode will drop every Friday, and we'll see you next time.